Hack is a game that's been in my brain for a while. It's part of a semi-known franchise, as in a genre some anime have, where people are in a video game, usually an MMO. The main difference here being that they're actually just playing a game, rather not inside it literally, like, you know, all of these. It's always stuck in my brain because so many within this genre just shove people into the game and call it a day. It'd be like, yeah, this will work, bro, we'll do that. Hack instead asks, what if we have people just play the MMO, which might seem simple, but it really is far more rare than you expect from this genre. Many of them are either in the camp of people are trapped in a game and have to get out, or I'm in the video game and I'm overpowered as fuck. So just having people play the game they like is really nice. Of course, it gets a lot more complicated than that. If it didn't, the plot would be probably a lot more interpersonal and less about playing the game, and while I am down for that, that's probably better for something like a visual novel or Disco Elysium. And Hack is a bona fide RPG. Let's get in there and take a look at it and start with the first part. Hack Infection. It's rock. We begin by hearing a poem in German, somewhat foreshadowing things to come. This poem comes from the Epitaph of Twilight, and by God, you're going to be hearing about it as we go on. After that, we can begin by entering our character's name and handle.
Now for a name.
I didn't think this far. In this case, I called him Dante, in reference to a playthrough of the game Monarch I did a while ago, of which the only surviving footage is a clip that YouTube will probably unperson me for showing. I'm gonna have to fight myself. I can finally kill. As for the handle, I simply left it as the canon name, Kite, which I'll refer to him going forward. We aren't allowed to pick our character class, but luckily Kite picks Twin Blade, which is the most flexible class in the game, so we'll be okay. And after a brief moment of reading our emails, latest news, and some forum posts of the game, finally log in. It's me! Flying into the world, we find our friend Yasuhiko.
Hey! In this game, I'm Orca.
Sorry, Orca waiting for us. We catch up a bit, but then Orca proceeds to subject us to a tutorial for about 15 minutes.
Exchange messages with other players. Oh, one more thing.
I'll come back to the gameplay later because this is not a very good way to show it. For now, he takes us to an area that's pretty easy for someone of our level while he just cruises at level 50. Eventually, we hit up our first dungeon and it goes well until... I'm sure that's fine. Regardless, we head to the end of the dungeon, grab the treasure, but since Orca, for some reason, doesn't have the item to warp us out, we have to walk all the way back out. Okay, sure you don't, buddy. Yeah, that's real. Upon doing just that, we get teleported to a completely different area where that strange girl appears, giving Orca a book.
What's this?
And moments later, the thing that was chasing the girl appears. Orca protects us, but it doesn't go so well for him. Are you winning, Orca?
Get out of here!
And it's about to go just as poorly for us. Luckily, we're saved by... something, and we're forced to log out of the game and our PC seemingly crashes. At the same time, we also received the book that Orca was originally given. Mine now, though. Speaking of, in the real world, we attempt to contact Yasuhiko, but as it turns out, he's been put into a coma from the attack he received in the game. We even make a quick forum post asking if anyone knows about people who have been put into a coma. And on top of that, we get a scrambled email from someone, clearly looking like they're asking for help. Yeah, I can't read that shit. So, with the mystery to solve and a friend to save, we head back into the game to find more answers. And logging back into the game, we run into Black Rose. And the encounter goes...
In case you're not aware of it, you're being very rude. It's impolite to stare at someone like that. You have to understand it's the same as the real world. Don't you get it?
Just great. Well, after that, we stock up on some gear, items, and go to head back out. Black Rose stops us. She's a bit more nervous this time, but she says she'll take us to a cool place with some specific keywords if we add her to our party. So we get her member address, which we need to add people to our party, and do just that. It's not like we have any leads yet, so what's the worst that could happen? Getting there, we see a lovely cathedral, which is probably one of the more iconic locations in .hack, and then fight a single enemy. wherein Black Rose proceeds to drop an entire McDonald's ball pit worth of balls. After that, she reveals she's a newbie as well and starts saying she's trying to find something, only to be interrupted by everyone's favorite character, Balmung, and he instantly tells us to leave.
I'm telling you to get out!
You got this, Balmung, kill it! Well, shit. Black Rose, you have any?
Tell me what's going on here.
Fantastic.
It has a hit point that's infinite.
This is the one. I'll kill you.
No!
But then, Kite remembers what happened to Yasuhiko, and in that moment, we hear the voice of the mysterious girl about the book she gave us, and we use it, which changes our outfit to orange, which is much better, and causes us to blast it with the same power that put Yasuhiko into a coma. You now have Virus Core M. This allows Balmung to kill the monster, but he gets very upset by us, blaming us for the spread of the virus infecting the world. Luckily, Black Rose saves us by using her amazing abilities of shouting.
That's hardly the way to talk to someone who just saved your life.
This sends Balmung away, but not without threatening to kill us, because he's just nice like that. As he leaves, he runs into Helba, a well-known hacker. While he attempts to simply leave, Helba does let slip that Kai is a friend of Balmung's partner, Orca. Finally, we leave the area and Black Rose logs off, with us doing the same. Going back to the forum, we see the post we made earlier was deleted, likely by the corporation to cover what's been happening in the real world. And then get an email from Helba herself informing us of the ability we just acquired. Data Drain allows us to rewrite monsters' data, basically returning monsters that have been infected back to a normal state. Now, knowing we can do something about the virus, we head back in to find any more leads. I don't feel like we've done a lot, but that's what happens when you're at the start of an RPG, especially in the PlayStation 2 era. It takes a while to get going. Here, we encounter some players talking about a strange player avatar that looks like a cat, possibly belonging to a hacker. So we head over to where they could be. There, we meet Mia and Elk. Mia asks,
Mia!
You. Yes, you.
very strange, but she's also the only one that can actually see our Twilight bracelet. Not even Kite can see it.
I can't see any bracelet, Mia.
And this is never relevant again. She then leaves after acting all mysterious, because I guess that's what you do when you're the only furry in a game that doesn't allow you to make an avatar like that. Then we log out, get used to that, and we see that someone has posted about seeing a strange girl with long hair. So, we use the keyword we posted and head over there to possibly find some answers. Okay, I know that was a lot of setup, but the beginning of .hack is very meaty, and I quite like it a bit. Minus the massive tutorial that Orca throws you into. It's a good tone setter, as well as giving us lots of questions to solve and a personal stake in the whole ordeal, and spoilers, my interest will not last. So let's finally talk gameplay. .hack is an action RPG. Though don't think of it something like Kingdom Hearts. The action is closer to something like an MMO, where you have very slow and deliberate basic attacks. One of the biggest differences here, however, is how combat flows. Every time you open the menu, the entire game pauses, letting you really think about what action to take. It's kind of like Chrono Trigger system in a way, except with a full pause when you open the menu. It is helpful, though it comes with a secret hidden downside, which we'll talk about later. Now, as for party members, you can't control them directly. This is a game that simulates an MMO after all, and these are supposed to be other people. At most, you can directly tell them to use a singular skill, and that's about it. All you'll have to do is use different operations to get them to act differently. My favorite part of this is when I get a Wave Master in our party, which is basically a mage. They're more support oriented, but they can get some magic skills for big damage. And then they almost never ever use buffs or debuff skills without me telling them to. It's so frustrating. Seriously, I was getting so frustrated at them that I want to have the Gambit system from Final Fantasy XII just so I could program the AI myself. Sadly, that's not how it works. I just have to hope and pray that the operation or order I choose won't result in our death or someone using a skill I don't want them to. Or baby the party members in an action RPG. Isn't life fun? Now, since it's an RPG, we also have gear. Lots and lots of gear. Now, it does do a lot of obvious things, giving more attack and defense, depending on what it is. The higher level it does more. But gear in .hack is a little different. All of the gear in this game is how you get skills. So say you want a healing skill, then you'll have to wear the proper piece of gear for it. Or an attack skill, you need the right piece of gear for that too. And this goes for everyone in your party. So you'll be constantly considering what you want to wear and for how long. Except wait a minute, your party members don't always want what you give them. Basically, they only really care about what you give them if the stats are higher than what they're currently got, which is just great because there's a handful of times I want to give them an objectively better piece of gear, but no! The one with the higher numbers is where it's at. Regain is a skill that gives SP regeneration. Nah, fake. Give me the bigger defense number. That's the good shit. This is the part where instead of thinking I'm playing with other people, I see through the facade and start wanting to break things. And speaking of doing that, let's talk about our special ability, Data Drain. As previously stated, it's an ability that rewrites the data of whatever you attack with it. However, to do that, you first have to protect break them, which can be done on any enemy, not just infected ones. At first I thought it was a health threshold, like getting enemy under a certain HP value. As it turns out, you have to hit the enemy a certain number of times before Protect Break occurs. I only learned about this while making the video, so there will be a few times during the streams that we fail to do Protect Breaks when we really needed to. Oh well. Now, if you land a Data Drain on a normal enemy, it turns them into a helpless version of the one you were fighting, so it's easy to take them down. So you get pretty much nothing for defeating them. However, you can also get items from them, as well as virus cores. And remember that part. Just remember about the virus cores. We'll be coming back to that. By God, will we be coming back to that. Really, there's a lot to come back to later, but much like this game, I'm setting up the story in the first act, so bear with me. As a side note, something I actually noticed is that gear drops are super low unless you data drain regularly, which got me thinking how fucked up the drop rates of gear in the world are. Now, the game .hack itself is fine because it's part of the gameplay loop, so you'll be rewarded with plenty of usable gear. But the universe of .hack can be so immersive at times that I started asking this question pretty frequently. Like, how hard is it for a level 50 player to get level 50 gear? Because I feel like it'd take ages, but if you're Kite and you data drain something, oh look at that, I got a piece of gear 20 levels above me, and it's got good stats, good stills, and since this gear isn't level locked in this game, I can wear it instantly. Crazy how that works. There's a reason every player in this game is willing to trade with you if you talk to them. Going back to Data Drain, let's talk about its downside, the infection rate. Your infection rate rises each time you use Data Drain, up to a maximum of 100%. Note that the game doesn't say exactly where you're at, you just have to go off the colors. Good luck if you're colorblind. Now, at the start, this means next to nothing, but as it gets higher, more negative things can happen more frequently. Things like hitting your entire party with a debuff, or a status ailment, or my personal favorite, draining your precious experience points. This is awful and can drain you down a level, so be careful. I think I lost a total of 3 levels because of this, which doesn't sound like much, but I can still feel a piece of my soul shattering when I rewatch the footage. Also, if your infection rate is at 100% and you data drain again, you get a system error, which is an instant game over. I don't have footage of this because I was able to manage it well, but just keep that in mind if you data drain a lot. Now that's cool, but I'm sure you're wondering how the hell we lower infection rate. You kill enemies. That's it. Sounds simple, right? Oh, I'll bring this up later too, don't you worry. So, what are we doing in game now? Lots of dungeons, like a lot of dungeons. Field zones too. It is an MMO, so we gotta grind those levels out. And this is a good time to talk about how you level in this game, which is a little different from others. First off, everyone needs 1000 XP to gain a level. The XP you gain from an enemy scales off of how high your level is versus the enemy's level. This means you'll always be in areas that are either within or about 3 to 5 levels of you, though the higher side of that can get pretty risky in the endgame. And you get there by using gates. Basically, you select 3 different keywords as mentioned earlier, and it creates an area for you to go to. And I'm sure someone out there has this down to a science, but for the most part, I just stuck to the bookmark words or hit random until I got an area that was suited for my level. But once you get to an area, if you're like me and want to maximize your time there, you'll pop a fairy orb and then proceed to clear every single gate on the map, both in and out of the dungeon. This can take forever, but you'll need to do it to get that sweet experience. So we do just that. Gain to an appropriate level, and then follow a lead on the forums talking about the strange girl with white hair, similar to the one we saw earlier. Entering the new area, it's extremely corrupted. The skybox has a massive hole in it, as does the ground. Bits of code seems to fly about. This guy Mike screws up because apparently he's voiced by a 13-year-old who's never once acted in his life.
I came after reading the board, but the operator turned me back. I guess we can't play here.
Voice acting 100. What? Welcome to the first of many corrupted zones in the game, and no, that flickering is not whatever you're using to view this video on, that's just in the game. Corrupted zones don't really vary much from normal zones aside from they're usually story related, so your odds of running into one isn't very high outside of that. At least for now. Well, that won't stop us from gaming, so we head into the dungeon and an admin NPC tells us to leave, but you can just walk past him. Perhaps the devs can't put an invisible wall up to stop us because of the corruption. Ooh. Getting to the end of the dungeon, we encounter a data bug. Much like the enemy Ballmoon fought before, it technically has infinite HP, meaning you'll have to data drain to proceed. It's pretty simple, but hey, that's what happens when you're the first boss in a game. After that, we encounter another player, Mistral. She's amazed we were able to rewrite the monster's data to defeat it, and admits she came here simply because she saw a forum post saying it seemed interesting. She also says that since the server failed, something strange has been going on. But before she can elaborate, something horrific happens.
What? Oh, damn it! I burned dinner.
Yeah, it's moments like this that remind me that this is supposed to be an MMO played by real people. Mistral leaves, but not before giving us her member address. So we got a cool new party member, and a Wave Master to boot. Returning to town, we instantly run into a new character, Pyros.
He have fair eyes.
He asks us to watch him vanquish a monster that has been harassing a player, and we have options to respond. Regardless, he gives us the keywords and we head out there. And getting there, this man is getting absolutely thrashed.
You're not gonna beat me. Whoa!
Well, since me and Kai aren't exactly ones to let people just get mauled to death by a Moai statue, we jump in and save him. It's a bit tricky since it has high defense and regen, but once Protect Break goes off, it's over as I literally turn it into a Moai statue. Pyros is happy and lets us take the loot and... oh, look at that, I forgot we have an inventory limit. Yeah, you can only carry 40 items at a time, including consumables and gear. You better be making frequent trips to the bank and stores to drop off stuff you want to sell or save, because you're gonna have to be tossing a lot of stuff on the ground to pick up a new item. Getting back to Pyros, he says his farewells and we get his member address. I think now's a good time to talk about party composition. There's plenty of characters to choose from as you'll go through the game, though certain missions require you to have a specific member with you. And spoilers, almost all the major story missions require Black Rose, so she's basically a permanent party member, only leaving if you can't bring her or are really bored and don't want the same team composition every time, which I do quite a lot later. As for the third slot, I prefer to using a Wave Master since they have a lot of utility, so Mistral was my other choice. That will change as the game goes on, but probably for reasons you're not expecting. Finally, we log out again and check our emails. Looks like we won a contest for the game, one that we never even heard about until now. Seems legit. We also get an anonymous threat to stop looking into the server problems if we want to keep playing. Yep, looks like the average internet to me. Back to the game. Once we get back in, we instantly get another email. Thanks, game. And then talk to an NPC to get a book, which apparently upgrades our character. We give it a shot and... it doesn't work. So we log out again and see that Mia has emailed us saying she'll tell us more about the bracelet, but only if we come to an area alone. Okay, I'm cool with getting shanked in a dark place and being left to die, so let's go. We log back in and go to the area, and Mia is at the very bottom of the dungeon and we have to take it on solo. Great. This section actually kicks my ass so bad I leave, save, and restock on items. Bring some potions and antidotes. That poison is no joke. More prepared, we actually make it to the dungeon where another NPC is telling us to leave, but we already know they have no power here, so we just pass by them again. And god damn, this dungeon is brutal. There's a reason not a lot of people solo the world. It's not designed for solo play. Of course, we're really playing .hack, so we actually have a chance thanks to data drain. This is also where Kite's abysmal starting accuracy really starts to hurt, so we started using the item to fix it, if only temporarily. Those items are very useful, by the way, please pick them up. As we make our way down, Mia starts talking in riddles.
Truth is, for something to be born, something must break.
I love riddles with no answers. Anyways, we get to the bottom and run into another data bug so we can show Mia the real power of the bracelet. Even though we've been using it the whole dungeon. It's fine, I'm a big boy, I can take it. I just gotta keep hitting him. I keep hitting him until data drain becomes available. Oh, finally, fuck. Kick his ass, Kite. After this,
There
Mia
would be no
finally
point
trusts
in
us enough to
teaching you
teach
how
us
to
about
hack
gate
gates.
hacking. She also gives us her and Elk's member addresses, which is good because we need her in the party to do the first gate hack. So here's what gate hacking is. You need a certain amount of virus cores to be able to hack the gate to enter a protected area. Simple as that. It's basically a way to keep you from progressing the story out of order. Most virus cores you need will be dropped from the bosses. However, you'll also need ones you get from normal enemies. So you'll want to be data draining a lot of normal enemies. Just don't go overboard, keep an eye on your infection rate. So what is in this special protected area? Another data bug. Though the real secret is seeing how bad Elk is at spacing and staying alive. Oh, well, they just randomly decided that Elk was dead now. Okay, good, he does. And he's dead. Fuck. Elk spacing. No, god damn. Tried so hard to get him away from that thing, but he just keeps fucking dying. Elk, please, bro. Back up. Elk, please. Oh my god, finally. Okay. Jesus. God damn it, Elk. Please, you gotta know about spacing, bro. Just get out of there. Why are you like this? Elk's just sandbagging the fuck out of you. He really is. He's just eaten like 5 revives from Mia just because he won't back up. Oh, we can data drain it again. I'm gonna do that. I need to do that. Oh. After that, Mia says she's interested in what we'll do with the bracelet in the future. Elk gets slightly upset, and we all leave. Another happy day. We quickly log out and log in again and find Balmung waiting to see us. He's asking if we know about Orca, and yeah, I'd say we do. So we tell him about what happened. He's rude about it.
That bracelet's power is the same as the one that placed Orca into a coma.
Yeah, I know.
Helva jump scare! You can't just do that to me, Helva. She's here to warn us about Leos, a man who's on the side of the system and will treat us as a virus while we have the bracelet. She then gives us a virus core and proceeds to act mysterious. Ooh.
Why are you helping me?
You might be the one helping me.
Well, that's cool. So now we get an email from Black Rose saying that the mystery girl and the monster with the red wand were seeing the Theta server. So we do some quick cleanup in the Delta server where we meet another Twin Blade player, Natsumi. Finally, we get to the Theta server where Black Rose was waiting. So we head to the keyword we saw and take a look. It's just as messed up as some of the other areas, but hasn't been protected. I'm sure that's fine. And it actually is. There's nothing here. So it might have been a hoax. Fantastic, I love wasting my time. So we head back, and after some field clears, I decide to head back to the Delta server and start some real quest cleanup. And that's where we find Mia and Elk having a very strange conversation.
Mia, I like you.
What?
After that, Elk approaches us and says one of his favorite areas is looking weird and asks for our help. Except he only wants us to go with him, no other party members. Oh, this'll be fun. We get there, and it looks fine, and the moment we say that, Elk spills all the beans. He wants the bracelet for himself to try and get Mia's affection again. Good luck with that, kid. During this groveling, the view starts flickering, so we decide to head into the dungeon to see if something's wrong. Yet there it is. Now it's all fucked up.
This place didn't used to be like this. The lie I told is now true.
You fucking fool! Well, we get to the end of the dungeon and find Mia, surprisingly. Elk simps again and Mia calls his name out. Oh, and there's also a data bug, which makes some strange noises when we hit it. Well, we kill it and that's that. Mia then says she does miss Elk when he's not around. Elk thanks her, but then says their favorite area is gone, but Mia responds by saying they'll always find another spot. Good for them. At least someone in this game can deal with Elk, because it's not going to be me. So at this point, the plot just kind of stops. Like, the entire thing about viruses and figuring out what's going on completely stops. So what do? We help Pyros after he gets pranked by Mia. Goes as well as you'd expect. Wow.
I'm back!
Good for you.
Meet Sanjuro, who's voiced by Steve Blum.
All of these treasure boxes are full of junk. This ain't funny.
That's his most defining character trait. We meet Gardenia, who wants nothing to do with us until we clear the dungeon. Alright, so we finally go back to the Theta server and attempt to enter another protected area we heard about on the board. Turns out we don't have enough virus cores. Ah, shit! Except wait, that's a Q core, so we don't need to grind yet. Phew, okay, thought we'd have to start tearing the game down. Regardless, upon seeing this, Kite and Black Rose theorized that it's possible someone from the company is likely altering or deleting posts to try and cover what's happening. I love Corpos fucking everything up. Well, we log out and get an email from Mistral, log back in, and find her getting scammed in real time. Well, she doesn't bite since the guy wants 9,999 GP for it, so she leaves and then he tries to scam us, and when that doesn't work, he just gives us the Book of Iron. Spoilers, it doesn't do shit. Then Mistral comes back.
I just sold everything I don't need.
Oh, you poor fucker. She does tell us there's a really dangerous area she'd like to bring us to, so we can use data drain again. So we do that. It's protected, but we have the virus core, so we're good. And yeah, Mistral wasn't wrong. This area fucking sucks. Though I think part of the struggle was because I tried to bring Sanjiro instead of Black Rose. He has way worse gear than her, so that's on me. I swapped him out for Pyros, which resulted in the overworld music turning into this. But I'm still getting my ass beat. After some time on the surface, we finally went into the dungeon. Straw looks around, thinks everything is just part of the game. This actually brings me to a point I was thinking about while playing this game. Since I have a degree in game design, I have an understanding of how games are made and why. It's both a blessing and a curse. And .hack really pushes that to the extreme. You might have noticed earlier when I was talking about gear, but that's not the only thing I thought about. The game bugging out like crazy, that's all intentional, part of the video game .hack, but it's not part of the in-universe game The World. And every time I think about that simple thing, it just breaks the illusion for me. Now the game certainly feels like an MMO, not so much because of the gameplay, though the tedium is there, but that's for later me to talk about. It's because of the people in it. See, I might be glossing over them, but all the forum posts feel real. Like, one of my personal favorites is about someone asking if a new peripheral is any good, which is then followed by a comment saying it's fantastic, which is then followed by a comment saying that that person's an idiot and the device is garbage. You do not know how many times I have seen this happen in real life. The only thing really missing is an update dropping that's minorly negative in any way, and seeing an entire thread open up about how the game is dead and dying now. The amount of times I've seen this happen on the Guild Wars 2 subreddit is insane. So yeah, there's a lot of immersion here, and it's just the gameplay part. This is the part that kind of sucks me out of it. And speaking of, there's the glitches that are supposed to represent the virus. I talked about this with chat at some point about how they could have gone even farther with the effects, like having textures not load in, so there's like a test texture or UV map. Maybe the shaders and lighting break so it's all bright with no shadows. Maybe some things get reduced to a wire mesh, or hell, maybe some enemies just break animations and use either the wrong one from another enemy or just T-pose at you. Video game glitches are crazy and nearly endless in what can happen. But what we got here, we eventually just named pizza sauce textures. Oh well. Back in the dungeon, we head to the bottom, there's another data bug. Oh boy, what will happen? We data drain and it's over. What a twist! Mistral is very excited. So excited she was still attacking. Regardless, she asks how we got the bracelet and we tell her about what happened, so she believes it's an event in the game. Oh, honey, no. But before we can tell her it was real, she has to run off because it started raining while her laundry is outside. Does anyone still do that in 2025? Well, whatever. We log out, check our mail, log back in. Black Rose is waiting for us because she somehow knows we have the right virus core now. But before I do that, I clean up some side content. We fight a goblin, we do Gardenia's quest. He likes flowers a lot. And then we go to the new area. This one's pretty infected with the virus, though when we get to the end of the dungeon, something strange happens.
What the?
Oh, okay. Here we listen to a note narrated by someone talking about a girl named Aura and how she's the future. Kite believes that Aura is the girl that gave him the bracelet, and he's absolutely right, she did. Black Rose also finds a note, this one voiced by a different narrator, which is a piece of the epitaph of Twilight. It doesn't make sense, Black Rose.
Well, that doesn't make any sense either.
Yeah, this whole situation's pretty strange, so we just leave. Logging out again, we check the forums to see that someone's asking about Orca, even specifically using the first keywords that Orca used for us. So we head there and talk to Bob. He doesn't have much to say aside from he was worried and that Orca was also in best game that there was something strange in the world. Bob then directs us to Linda, who we go see because we have nothing else to do. This time she's in the dungeon, and all she has to say is that Orca and Balmung were working together and they were just investigating the rumor that that's something being in the game. I'm glad this wasn't just one person telling us all this, and it was instead two. Just stretch out that playtime just a bit more. Linda also says this.
Balmung of the Azure Sky, Orca of the Azure Sea. The most powerful party known as Descendants of Fianna.
What's the max level in this game? It better be 50. Anyways, she gave us another area to go to, so we go there. It's protected again, but we're fine. We got the virus cores. For now. Then we get to the end of the dungeon, and it's another weird room. Except this time it's been destroyed, so we get no notes at all. Okay, so this was a fun exploration that went to basically nothing. Wahoo! After logging out, we see Blackroad has another keyword for us to try, so we'll meet him and someone named Meg points us in the right direction. Oh lord, please let this one have something interesting in it. Well, kind of. Get to the end of the dungeon and see Meg talking to someone who quickly disappears. We then ask about the keyword her friend went to, but she refuses to tell us and leave. Man, I love wild goose chases. Luckily, she did let slip so she posted to the forum, so we log out and it's gone. Shit. Luckily, Helbel's got our back and emails us the keyword along with the post it was originally part of, which mentions a thing like a red wand. Oh boy, that can't be good. While we log in, Kite gets a little angsty about Black Rose coming, but she's very insistent. So we bring her and Mistral with us. Though before we do that, we do a bit of grinding because we're under-leveled for this dungeon. This takes about an hour and a half, but after that we head to the new area, and surprise, it's the final area we'll go into in Infection. Once we get there, Kite's bracelet starts shining. Probably because whatever put Orca in a coma is around here. So with that in mind, we head into the dungeon, and it's easily the toughest one we've done so far. Everything hits really hard, and if you die, you can be revived, but you won't have any SP, so be careful. But when we get to the end, we finally get a real boss fight. Yep, here it comes. Boss fight. For real. We're finally getting a boss. It's been so long. There we find Aura. However, because we were fucking around for 6 hours, we're too late. And whatever the monster is from earlier data drains her, appearing to scatter her across the system. I'm gonna kick that thing's ass. And now we enter the final boss of Infection, Skaith, the Terror of Death. You also have to deal with the final boss of all video games, bad visual filters. Oh god, what the hell is this filter? Please. Anyways, I hope you're ready for a difficulty spike, because Skaith hits hard. Now, much like the data bugs before him, Skaith needs to be data drained before you can actually defeat him, and that's a tall order because we're still in early game gear and our options just kind of suck. Our best healing spell is La Rep, which only heals about 150 out of our, 450 to 650 health. So that's great. Use your good healing potions if you got them and keep rebuffing your defense and you should be fine. Also, Skaith can data drain us. I guess I'll die. You'd think this would instantly down someone, but no, it just gives you every status ailment in the game and you can heal them with 2 items. If only Orca knew. But after a lot of careful play and patience, we were eventually able to data drain him. Everything hurts! Now the turntables, fuckface. Alright, I turned him into some sticks. But we're not done yet because he's now in phase 2 and he has how much health? Plenty enough. Just stick to what you were doing before and just keep in mind Skaith will spam his big ass AoE attack all the time and you'll be okay. So let's take this pile of rocks down. Ow. Shit. Oh no, they got rid of it immediately. Oh. Now you'll feel the terror of death, you useless piece of geometry. Well, after we kill it, it melts to a pile of goo and something bursts out from the ground. Is there phase 3? Kite, you might want to move. I'm so scared there's another phase. And it's a huge bitch! I don't know, Kite, he's pretty big, but I think you got this. Never mind. So I don't think I get to fight that, which is good. Elba is here and she gets us out of here and gives that thing a name, Kubia. And with that, Infection's story ends as we prepare for the next one. Except not yet. There's a bonus boss to fight, and it's even more difficult to fight than Skaith. It instantly kills us with most of its attacks, and its attacks lock us in place. So my plan was to have Black Rose on one side and a Kite on the opposite side, so that way the fire attacks wouldn't kill the two of us at once. It's straightforward, if not easy. Finally, we data drain it. Check this fucking shit out. And I get that, and with it, we're finally done Infection. So, before we move on, what were my thoughts? Well, as I stated before, the opening few hours are very good at drawing you into the game as well as its mysteries. But with the last 3 to 4 hours, it really dragged its feet with interactions that could have been done either in town or in a single go. It was just too slow with too little payoff. But with that being said, it's only the first act, so it's time to enter the next with .hack Mutation. Jumping right off from where we ended in Infection, Mutation begins with Kite getting bodied again. I should also add, since we're at the start of a game again, we're in for a lot of exposition and cutscenes, so buckle up. This will be a pattern throughout, but soon we're back at our desktop. In it, we check the board and it looks like when Kubia woken up, everyone got a lot of screen noise and are worried it might be because of a virus. Oh, how right they don't know they are. But with that, we log back in and Black Rose instantly tells us to head back to the area where we fought Skaith. Did I mention I love forced backtracking? Luckily, there's not a single monster or gate in the area now, so it's pretty easy to trek back to the bottom. Though on the way, Kite and Black Rose have a quick talk, with
I'm not afraid. No way. Well, alright, I am.
Black Rose asking if Kite's afraid. And Kite is, but he says it won't let him stop him. Later on, it's clear Black Rose is scared too, so Kite asks why she's here. Before she can answer, Baldwin's here to be a big shit in my cereal. He blames us and thinks we're just making things worse, and then leaves. Thanks, man. Kite attempts to reason it out.
Maybe he's just got his own reason, one that's different from ours.
After that, we get to the end of the dungeon, and it's a dead end. Wow, I love wasting my time. We go back to the city, and there's an NPC waiting for us. It says the item we got from the contest we won, which we didn't enter by the way, was defective. So it gives us one that works. Oh, well, we log out and see that there's another anonymous email saying we'll get information if we go to a specific keyword. I don't know, seems legit to me, boss. And arriving there, we end up in a default Unity scene.
Hey! Hey, you!
It's not just us here, Black Rose is here too. She attempts to gate out, but it doesn't work. And then...
What was that sound?
Meet Leos. He's the server's admin that's been giving us warnings about what we've been doing, and the situation is all our fault. Damn, I wonder where I heard that before. Well, Kite doesn't take too kindly to being blamed, even pointing out that all they've really done is cover up the truth. Black Rose, though, kind of has a mental break and reveals why she's been working with us.
Comas will awake and return to normal? Then, okay, sure. I'll accuse them all you want. Kazu's still in the hospital. Bring him back. Bring him back to normal. Bring him back.
However, all Leo says is that we're working on it, bro, trust, and then requests that we delete our character so the situation doesn't worsen. Why? The Twilight Bracelet, of course. They've actually been trying to delete it specifically with the fake power-up campaign books, but since Leos can't do that, well, he decides it's best to just delete our character here and now.
I will delete you now.
Wait a moment.
Thankfully, Helba hacks her way in and stops Leos from being the biggest moron in this game. Still got second place, though.
Leos, do you want to be one of the lost ones as well?
What?
I wonder what would happen if the boy performed data drain, right here and now.
No way, I wouldn't do that.
I know. Since you aren't stupid. The stupid one is this pig-headed man. You don't even understand how it works, yet you'll delete it before finding that out. Deleting those you cannot control is something that a pighead would do.
After this series of burns, Kite steps in, saying he doesn't care about his character data. He really just wants to help his friends, so he asks both Helba and Leos what he should do. Though Helba says neither of them can really help, but does say that since the world is based off of the epitaph of Twilight, there has to be a way in here to solve the mystery. I guess. Anyways, Helva then suggests to Leos that he continue to observe Kite instead of deleting his character. He begrudgingly agrees and then leaves, as does Helva. Then Kite and Black Rose finally get to leave and log out for the day. So something that I need to address that the game never does is that each time you log out and log back in, time is supposed to be passing. Dot hack doesn't take place over a few hours, but weeks, except it's never shown very well. I only realized it when someone in my chat told me about it. Maybe it could have had a timer like Persona to show them passage of time. Like when we logged out, I could have a little introspective narration before going to sleep, and then we see the calendar change over to the next day. After all, that way we wouldn't have to reveal what they look like in reality, which is something this game likes to keep ambiguous for all the characters. Oh well. A man can dream. Anyways, we get an email from Leos telling us that he wants us to come to the Lambda server so he can give us our first mission. Sounds good. It did take me a few tries to find him. He's the weapon shop owner, by the way. He tells us to investigate protected areas since that's where the virus infection is greatest. He gives us the virus corpy and tells us to find them. Dude, you're an admin. Can't you just fucking tell me where they are? Well, whatever. We log out, check the forum, and find a post about it. That's convenient. I gotta say, the amount of logging in and logging out does make me wish I could just look at the forums or the emails while in the game. Well, we log back in and meet Elk. Me is here and,
Log. Type. No. See?
she's not doing so hot. But Elk and Mia want to join us, so that's the party for today. Getting in there, we data drain an enemy and unlock a new type of data drain, Drain Arc. It hits multiple enemies that have Protect Break on them, but the problem is the range is so small, and the amount of times you Protect Break multiple enemies is so few, I barely used it. I think there was one time in the entire playthrough where I got to use it, and all it did was raise my infection rate higher. Yeah, that's the problem with the additional data drain skills you learn in the following games. They raise your infection rate even quicker than before. Keep in mind that the only way to lower is by killing enemies, and even then it only lowers by a tiny amount at a time, so that's not great. Also, something to note while going through the dungeon is that Mia's voice lines are normal, but all of her text is garbled. I don't know, it just seems like another missed opportunity. You know, get some weird lag in there, maybe the microphone quality gets worse, but hey, it's not that big a deal, so let's not worry about it. After making our way to the bottom, we find another data bug. Wow, crazy, who could have ever seen this coming? And this one has magical tolerance, so Elk is permanently on healing duty while me and Mia do the damage. The worst part about this fight is the lack of items to restore SP quickly and having to wait for it to tick back up. We only gain 1 SP a second, and most moves need at least 10. Our most expensive move right now requiring 45 SP. We're also still in the era where the best healing spell we have is only 150 HP, and if you look at our party, that's simply not enough. So not only do I have to yell at Elk to heal us, but I have to constantly be vigilant in giving out healing potions myself. But after a long battle, we're able to data drain the bug and defeat the enemy. After the fight, Elk finds some aromatic grass and gives it to Mia, because that's her favorite thing in this game. They ask what it's for, but Elk just says they like collecting it. Then Mia drops this lovely bomb.
A system without futilities is very vulnerable. The key in opening a new gate is futility.
Oh yeah, it looks like her speech is fixed. Anyways, we head back to town and... I guess that's messed up again. Well, we log out and find another area that looks to be interesting and head out, this time with Black Rose and Mistral. This dungeon has a data bug, but that's not the most interesting thing here. There's what seems to be a player here, but it acts,
Hello? Do you have end? I want end. Someone give me end.
odd. And I'm glad we went through an entire dungeon to witness one scene that lasted less than a minute. No, I'm okay, I'm fine, it's not bothering me at all, it's okay. So, we leave, log out, and see that Leos wants to meet us, and then we log in again. Here we tell him the infection is getting worse and that there was a player there too. Though, we realize that it should be impossible for anyone other than us to enter a protected area. Leos says it's simply failed junk data, and says he'll give us more orders later. So we log out, again, and then say that he wants us to check another area. Though before we do this quest, we do make a quick side trip to go do a side quest. There we meet Nuke, who is trying to make a stand-up comedy routine.
Why is the sky blue?
We also run into Moonstone in this dungeon, who sees us and then immediately leaves. It's okay, man, I understand. Okay, now we can go do the main dungeon. Boy howdy, I sure hope something happens this time. And something does! Because we get inside a dungeon and find this gigantic mosaic. Okay, Well, Kite tries to attack it, but it just makes whale noises and disappears. We chase it through the whole dungeon before finally cornering it. This one is Enos, the Mirage of Deceit. Can we actually even fight him at this point? Because we haven't been able to hit him. This fight is a lot like the last Databug fight, which is that Enos has magic tolerance. Not a big deal since Mistral is only here for support. The biggest problem is that Enos has the move Visions of Self, which instantly charms the character it's used on. If it happens to the party, just hope you're far away enough from Black Rose so she doesn't walk up on anyone and instantly kill them. If it happens to you, hope that you don't kill anyone. The biggest reason this is so scary is because the rest of the party only has a limited number of healing items that you can't see. That's right, they can't use yours. After all, this is MMO, except not really. So they can't use what's in your inventory. That'd be cheating. So God help you if you go down and no one has anything to revive people. The only other thing Enos has up its granite is this big elemental spell, but they're really just damage, so you can handle just fine. Oh yeah, Enos also has the Attack Invisible Doll. The best animation in the business. It's even more well animated than Enos is. What the fuck? I might be lying. I thought it was summoning enemies, but it just threw a bunch of dragon dolls at us. And of course, it has data drain, but spoilers, all bosses like Scathe and Enos have data drain, so it's not that special. But after a struggle, we data drain it and it enters phase 2. Its post-data drain form animates about as well as it did before, and honestly, nothing much changes from this phase of the fight aside from Enos getting that singular physical attack AoE. So we just stick to the plan and we're fine. After we defeat Enos, Black Rose says something feels weird, so we head back to town, and Leos is right there waiting for us, and oh boy, he is mad. He had to force a system shutdown to prevent anything from happening and berates us for moving before he did anything, so that's fun. Well, we log out. Kite actually has one of those introspective monologues I mentioned before, wondering if they're the cause of the problems and he's bringing salvation or destruction. Their words, not mine. After that, we check our emails and get another strange email from Aura asking for help at another keyword. She also mentions Kubia by name, and to be careful of it. So we log back in and Mistral is waiting for us. We tell her where we're going and she wants to go with us, which is good because I was going to bring her with us anyway. But first, it's time for side quests again. This time with Gardenia, it goes very well. Oh no. Mistral. Thank you. These enemies are doing a ridiculous amount of damage. At the end, Gardenia gets upset because she didn't get a gear drop, and then says she was actually here to kill the monster that killed her before.
Mission accomplished. Let's go.
Okay. Getting back to the main quest, instead of bringing Black Rose, I instead bring Sanjuro, which is a very big mistake. Do not do this. See, something about .hack that it does to try and simulate an MMO environment is to have other characters level as you play, so usually around your level when you bring them. However, it does not give them higher level gear a lot of the time, meaning that Sanjuro, while he is around my level, is statistically weaker than Black Rose. It's not like she wasn't available, I just chose not to use her, but that is not the only reason it was a mistake. Though before the big mistake, we have a chat with Mistral about what's been going on, since she really has no clue. Again, she just thinks it's our character's backstory. Anyway, we reach the end of the dungeon and we finally run into why bringing Sanjuro was a mistake. First, a piece of aura appears, which makes Mistral finally believe us. She also says Aura isn't alive, which, how does she know that? Whatever. But as we try to get closer, we get transported to another area. And what's above us except Kubia himself? And this becomes the biggest struggle so far. Kubia's core. It has physical tolerance. Sanjuro, mainly, has physical skills. I think he had maybe a single magical skill, but it was really weak. Not only that, but while attacking Kubia's core, it constantly spawns waves of little cores that we have to kill, or else it'll heal it, debuff us, or just attack us. So this whole fight can be nightmarish, and I didn't even know it was coming. And on top of that, Kubia could just use Legion's Reach, which chunks all of us for a lot of health. There's also Arc Bullet, but it seemed to only do a percentile of our HP, or at least less damage overall, which is way more manageable. But wait, there's more! After you get to the core to a certain HP threshold, it switches its tolerance to magic instead of physical. It constantly does this the whole fight, meaning you have to change your strategy, except hold up. Only 2 people are actually good at casting magic, Kite and Mistral. Sanjuro is here to hit things and that's it. So each phase of physical tolerance is fucking pain. Don't forget, your attacks can miss, by the way. This whole fight takes a grueling 25 minutes. And near the end, Kuvia tried to pull a fast one with a new move called Megiddo Flame that nearly kills us, but I'm able to heal everyone back up before we get attacked again. And we finally send Kuvia into the trash where it belongs. Kind of. Alright, Kite, now run up and stab it in the eyes. It runs away, and then Helba shows up. He's impressed we defeat Kuvia and tells us that we need to release Aura. Kite asks if it would help Orca, but Helba doesn't give a straight answer before leaving.
A question of possibility. That's all I can say for now.
Thanks. Going back to town, Mistral apologizes to us, thinking that we actually just made up the situation and gives her full support. She's nice. We log out and see in the forums that people are saying there's been some weird things happening, not to just the world, but also the network everything runs on. See, something I failed to mention in Infection is that this world takes place after a virus called Pluto's Kiss rampaged through the previous network, shutting down the entire internet for about 77 minutes, which on its own sounds bad, but caused traffic lights to fail, planes to collide, and nearly launched the US's supply of nukes. So I'd categorize that as pretty fucking bad. But during all this, only one OS actually didn't get infected, that being Ultimate. Because of the way it was made, it was immune to nearly every computer virus ever created. So it had become the OS 99% of people used worldwide. God damn. There was even a law passed by the World Networking Commission saying that Ultimate software had to be used. And since then, the world was the first online game since the incident, so it's a pretty big deal. Even if I think the game is kind of lacking in the fun department. Okay, I guess the secret's out. I do find .hack's gameplay pretty boring. It's mainly because with each encounter you have to start and stop and start and stop, and it makes normal fights take forever. There's a reason I brush over the normal gameplay, and it's not just for the sake of abridging the game. Now, I don't dislike turn-based games. One of my favorite series of all time is turn-based. But with .hack, since it's also trying to be an action RPG, my brain is fighting me. Like, half the things I'm doing should be automated, just happen with a single button press. Maybe I could just hotkey some of my skills, you know, kind of like Kingdom Hearts, or funny enough, the sequel to the series, .hack GU. Alright, I'll return to the gameplay again, but let's get back to the story. Though I really want to, I can't, because it's around here where I get kind of lost for what to do. There's several new keywords, we've got multiple people asking us for our help, and so it all feels like side quests instead of main story. Alright, well in that case, let's do some side quests until the plot comes back. First we go with Sanjuro to get the sword he wants. He's very happy with it and gives us the Blade of Bond, which I never unequip for the rest of Mutation because it's that good. Next we help Pyros track down the cat character, Mia, again. It goes just great.
You did it again, you damn cat! You're gonna pay for this!
And then we finally get an email from Black Rose saying that the forum is back. This time this is a post about the Epitaph of Twilight and how a Twilight dragon will save the world from an abominable wave. I'm sure that's unrelated to what's happening. Anyways, logging back in, Black Rose tells us that she emailed the post server that thread and we have to wait for the reply. Fantastic. So we log out again and get an email not from 01 who posted that originally, but from Linda saying that Balmung found a strange room in the Lambda server at this keyword. Oh, there's also another forum post on the board between Bear and Mimiru from .hack sign. I won't lie, that got me pretty excited and it gave us a keyword so we can go check that out in a bit. But even though the plot is back, my level still isn't great, so we go do more side quests. First we go see Marlowe, alone. He gets chewed out for bad etiquette and runs into the dungeon. We chase him and he forgets what he wanted to talk about.
You're such a nuisance.
You called me here. Don't place a cockroach on yourself and then be like, oh man, this thing sucks. It's like, you did it to yourself, bro. I don't want to hear about it. Well, we get his member address, so I guess that's fine. That was a complete waste of time. Did we get his member address? Yeah, sure, but like... What? Next we go to the keyword Bear and Mimiru talked about. We find A20, also from Sign, though she leaves real quick. We're getting to the bottom, we find Mimiru. She says she's waiting to meet up with Bear, but he calls her and changes the location on her, so she leaves but gives us her sword first, which is pretty good. Hey wait, did she just read her email without logging out? Next we go to an area that Natsumi said would have an enemy, which, when killed, would give her 10 times the levels. It's a hoax, plain and simple.
I think that posting is a hoax.
Then we go to a training convention in a dungeon. Wait, why would you host it in a dungeon? Just do it in town. Anyways, when we meet Rachel, who's trying to solve a trading problem but needs our help, she also sounds a bit too much like Janine from Ghostbusters.
If everyone ain't satisfied, you can't consider yourself pro.
While trying to solve the problem, we also run into Moonstone for like half a second. We finally get to the end of the dungeon and we get the item that Rachel needed for the trade, but then she dumps her work on us, so we solve the puzzle for her and she gives us her member address. Woohoo! Okay, we finally get to the main plot again. We head over to the protected area and take a look at the rune Linda told us about. Vibes in this one are weird. And our hard work? A single sentence. Oh, and Balmung shows up. But before he can chew us out, Kite asks if he knows what lurks in the world. Of course, he says nothing, tells us not to get involved, and then leaves. Thanks again, man. Keep it up. Leaving and logging out, we get an email from Leos telling us that he's got more work now because of us. Oh, that's so unfortunate, Leos. I'll be sure to let the coma victims know that you're suffering. Aside from that, Black Rose says that one replied, and if we want to know more, we should talk to the player Wise Man, who hangs out in the dungeon of a certain area. Okay, seriously, there's no one hang out in town at all. They do in Sign, but why not here? Whatever. We also get an email from Moonstone asking for us to help him in a dungeon. So we do that real quick, then asks us to destroy all monsters in the dungeon.
Do you mean destroy all the monsters in the dungeon?
Did you mean destroy all monsters in the dungeon?
Let's defeat all the monsters in the dungeon.
Alright, we gotta defeat all the monsters in the dungeon. I hope everybody's caught up on the plan. We do that, he thanks us, and then leaves. Okay. Then we actually go to the area Wise Man's supposed to be. And here's where I'm glad we spent so much time doing side quests, because goddamn, this dungeon is rough. This is where I like to give a shout out to the skill Staccato for being cheap and doing big damage. 10 out of 10 skill. And after a good 30 minutes, we get to the bottom and finally find Wise Man. Alright, Wise Man, I went through a whole fucking dungeon to talk to you. Where you at? He's also voiced by Steve Flum.
You want to trade as well?
Turns out he's an information broker and won't give us the info for the epitaph for free, but he'll email us when he has the price set. Great, awesome. I'm really glad the pattern of running through a whole dungeon only for no payoff continues. I too enjoy bashing my head into a wall until something happens or I get permanent brain damage. Logging out, Wiseman sends us an email saying that if we get this item from a dungeon, he'll give us the information. Alright, let's go. Except we can't because I lack the virus cores to hack the gate. This is what I was alluding to earlier in Infection. There will come points in the story where you can't progress, not because you don't have enough levels or specific skills, but because you require enough virus cores to proceed, which forces more grinding. Now, the thing about grinding is, I don't hate it if it's my own choice to do it. I mean, if I hated it, I wouldn't have played all of Disgaea 1 on stream. A video for that will come out eventually. But when it's being forced because I need enough of a specific item, that's when I start getting upset. It's not like this is a side quest. I have to do this. And on top of that, the virus cores I need aren't easy either. They're F cores, meaning I have to data drain a large enemy in the Lambda server to get some. Better hope I can find something of that size. Well, luckily, I do. Except there's one more problem. Data drain doesn't always guarantee our virus core. It could just be a piece of gear, meaning that we could be doing this for hours without getting one. And not only that, but you need to keep an eye on your infection rate, or else you could start dooming your party or lose that precious experience. Isn't that great? Isn't it amazing that you have to stop the story in its tracks just to go grind an item out that you need to progress? And potentially lose levels in the process because data draining for so long means you could lose a ton of XP. It's not like Mutation's story has really gone anywhere yet. If anything, so far, I feel like Mutation has been spinning its wheels in terms of things actually happening. Like, what? We've talked to Leos, who's a new major character. We defeated Enos, and that's apparently caused a server shutdown. And then we met Miseman, who won't talk to us until we have a specific item. That's it! Why won't something happen? Anyways, I go through a whole dungeon and it doesn't have a single large enemy, so I give up and look a keyword up online that will help me find them easily. And for those playing at home that need the F-cores as well, it's Lambda Shapeless His Sand Trap. What a name. Just be careful, the large enemies here are very dangerous. I had to really abuse the pause feature to even survive one of them. But after several dangerous fights, we finally get enough cores to proceed into the protected area. Oh, fucking finally. Okay, we got one. Oh, Jesus. Okay. In a twist I'm sure no one saw coming, nothing interesting happens in this dungeon besides fighting a data bug. But you already knew how it was going at this point. We beat it. We get the Spark Sword for Wise Man. Jesus Christ. Heading back, we see Balmung and Leos talking before leaving. Okay. But now we have to go talk to Wise Man again, and it's not as simple as just emailing him saying, hey, we got the item you want, come meet us in the land of Root Town. No. Instead, for some reason, we have to go all the way back to the dungeon he's in. Why? I already cleared this dungeon. Why are you making me do it again, game? And it's not like the one we fought Skaith in either. Oh no. All the enemies are back now, which means this takes another 30 minutes. This must be how Sisyphus would feel if he was in video games. Just forever running through the same dungeon. We get to the end, and we give Wise Man the Spark Sword. He then says he's intrigued by us being able to enter a protected area.
Ugh! You deliberately chose a protected area to test us! That is so not cool!
Yeah, that's how I feel. Well, regardless, Kite explains that what's been going on to Wise Man, after which he apologizes and not only gives us his member address, but also the Spark Sword. At least we got something out of this. He then says he'll email us about the epitaph and then leaves. Alright, cool. Logging out, we read the email Wise Man sent us, which contains a stanza from the Epitaph of Twilight, which basically confirms that all the weird things we've been fighting have been part of the cursed wave mentioned in the Epitaph. So Skaith was the first, Enos the second, and it says the next one is Magus, which says it'll create a new wave. Well, that doesn't sound great. The stanza also mentions Vichel, Gore, Maka, Tarvos, and Kormanik, but it looks like our work is cut out for us. Next, Wise Man says we should contact Helba at the Net Slum. He gives us some weird instructions, and that's it. Wise Man, I think you forgot to give us a keyword for it. Luckily, someone on the board posted about a weird guy in an area talking about the Net Slum, so lucky us. Wise Man didn't just doom the entire internet by not telling us where the Net Slum area is. Logging in, we head to the dungeon and find the weird guy at the very bottom of the dungeon because of course it's all the way at the bottom. Why wouldn't it be? Anyways, they tell us the keyword to go to because we just need to have another dungeon for almost no reason. Oh, and also Leos blows up this guy because they were junk data and then scolds us. Damn, it's like a free Balmung toy in my Happy Meal. Returning to town, Balmung is also waiting for us and gives us a virus core and then leaves. He wasn't very pleased, and something is very obviously wrong, but I'm sure it's fine. Well, time to hack into the new area, and nope, can't do that, not enough F-cores. Luckily, this one only took me 5 minutes, so we got lucky this time. When we get to the dungeon, Black Rose attempts to solve the puzzle.
East, north, south, west, north. Gates to paradise will open. I guess not.
Thanks, Black Rose. Anyways, we just followed the instructions and to go into each direction we're told to, and it lets us explore the dungeon. Oh, come on, you can't even teleport us to the Net Slum? Give it some mysticism? Well, we go to the dungeon at the end and we see a big gate. This gets us in the Net Slum.
There are those who call it that. We call it paradise.
I'm not sure I'd call it paradise, but you do you, mate. Though all the people you talk in this area are just data, or at the very least extremely strange. We run into Tartarga. He explains how the Epitaph of Twilight is how the Age of Spirits came to an end. That sounds like great news for us. He then explains that the Net Slum was originally where all the failed NPCs ended up, but players who enjoyed the strange NPCs made their own, thus blurring the line between NPCs and PCs. Tartarga even suspects that it could be players that have lost their body in the outside world. Luckily for us, we never see Orca wander around and have to deal with that. But Tartarga mentions that this is the same fate Harold experienced. But before we can ask who that is, we hear Helba read from a note.
They're the words of the creator of this world, Harold Hewick.
We get to ask her about the epitaph, but before we can continue, Balmung shows up and he's here to talk smack again.
You sided with Leos, I see. You cracked easily for someone who was so sure of himself.
Don't judge, I'm not like you!
Stalking the boy is shameful behavior. You've disgraced the name of the descendant of Fianna.
Finally, someone who can shit-talk him. At least for a little before Leos shows up and is ready to ruin everything again. Leos is still on his bullshit about us being the gravest threat to the world and is about to delete us, but then something happens. The systems start to break and Leos blames Helba. Helba insists that she did nothing. Instead, it's her doing. Everyone flees the area, except us, of course. And we're now faced with Magus, the propagation. Alright, who's ready for the hardest fight in the entire quadrilogy? This isn't even a joke, Magus is easily the hardest fight in any of the games, so let's break it down. When the fight starts, do not attack Magus directly. Instead, attack the little leaves it drops on the ground, because if you ignore them, this happens. Now that attack doesn't instantly kill, oh no, it only deals around 1,000 damage. But if you're all below that and that happens, you know what that means. That's right, 30 minutes of dungeon for you again! You can skip the cutscenes at least, so that's something, but I still feel the agony in this even now. This is where you'll either use Operation Union Battle or Operation Follow Me, or you leave your fate to PS2 era AI. I'll go with it trying to not kill me every chance it can, though it still tries. Now, I don't hate the idea of a fight where you need to do a step before the boss becomes vulnerable or you get punished. I think it can work well, but to almost instantly kill the player for failing to learn a new mechanic that you haven't even explained? No, don't do that. This fight sucks. So just play the defense until you destroy all the leaves, then attack Magus. And when the leaves regenerate, repeat the first step. While this may seem simple, Magus has several skills that can cause paralysis and the attack Light of Purity, which can do big damage. Play it safe, keep calm, and eventually you'll data drain it and enter phase 2. Which is honestly a lot more manageable than phase 1 because Magus will focus on doing single target attacks instead of hitting everyone at once. This will likely result in people dying, but through the power of revives, it really doesn't matter. Just be sure to keep your distance when he headbutts the ground, that's still a big AoE. But if you've come this far, you'll be able to take out Magus in no time. After taking out Magus, white noise hits the screen and that slum falls apart. We head back to town, however...
What the hell happened? You're kidding me, right?
And with that, Mutation comes to a close. Except not yet. Much like last time, we still have a bonus boss. This one I found to be about the same level as the one from Infection, though it didn't kill us in one hit. It got pretty close though. But after beating it, we got the Crimson Raid weapon, which is only okay. And the lucky shoes. I'll tell you now, I almost always brought the shoes with me through the entire rest of the game because they have access to Rig Same and Rig Geem, to give you HP and SP regeneration respectively. Good stuff. Okay, now Mutation is over. So how was that after Infection? Honestly, in my opinion, it's pretty bad. .hack has always had a slow-paced story. This can be said of both the anime signed before it and the sequel series GU. But in Mutation, that slow build-up leads to almost nothing until the very end. If we're to chart my escalation of the story, or at least how it felt, Infection and Mutation will look like this. Infection has a good start, fumbles a little near the end, but is able to recover. Mutation starts alright as it introduces Leos and starts having more direction, but eventually it becomes a mess, where we had to keep going into dungeons for almost no reason aside from they needed more gameplay. For God's sake, the interaction with Wise Man alone makes me internally scream even writing this script. Why can't people just meet in the root towns? Even past me was unsatisfied with Mutation. We have not really accomplished a whole lot in Mutation outside of we know who Leos is, what he's trying to do. We kind of know what Balmung's trying to do. We don't really know why. We destroyed Innis and Magus. We found the net slum. That's about it. Storyline wise, nothing's really happened in Mutation. It kind of sucks. So what? That's about halfway through the story and I'm not very satisfied with the game, and there's how much more left? Oh boy. Alright, well, let's not leave a job undone. Let's start up the next chapter. Outbreak.
The day that he first
Oh,
played
sweet
the
mother
world.
of God, do not recap all 2 games. You do not need to do that. Outbreak starts and we're back at our PC. Turns out CC Corporation finally addressed that people have fallen into comas playing the world. But instead of saying it's because of a virus, they instead blame Helba and the hackers that work for her. Yes guys, bury the truth to make yourselves look better. Classic corpo move. I'm sure this will have no future repercussions whatsoever. We also get an email from Wiseman that says he'll be doing some research. Alright, good luck with that, man. We log in and see Mia and
I get it now. It's because there's a festival. The barriers have been lifted, they're all gone. We can go back and forth freely now. Isn't that wonderful?
yeah, she's not doing so hot.
Mia?
Don't touch me!
The virus works in strange ways, I guess.
What's the matter, Mia? You're acting peculiar.
No fucking shit, bro. Alright, well there she goes. Well, there's nothing else to do, so we log out because that's the only way the devs know how to progress the story, which also doubles as a way to simulate a swing set, just back and forth forever. Going to the forum, we see a post about Skaith's red wand, which, spoilers, I do not go to for a long time because that area is level 80 and I will get bodied. The post also makes reference to another twin blade. Not Kite, but it's referring to Sora from Sign. See guys, it's all connected. Anyways, we check our email and there's CC Corp again saying, again, that's all Helba's fault. But here, they're also succeeded in nullifying the program. Sure you guys have. Going through the forum, we also see a post about someone asking if a player named Sieg is okay. Now, why is this important? Because it's a character from .hack Liminality, so let's talk about that for a quick second. Liminality is an OVA that came with .hack, basically as a story running in parallel to the game. The idea is that .hack the game would focus on what's happening on the net, and Liminality would focus on the effects in the real world. I think that's interesting because we never really experience anything that's happening in the real world aside from reading about it in the game on the news. So a story that's running parallel to it that could really just show us what's happening rather than tell us would be great. Unfortunately, in my opinion, after the first episode of Liminality, it falls off real hard. Not only that, but it only ever really converges with the game at the very, very end. And I'll bring that up when we get there. But in my opinion, you're probably better off reading a plot synopsis of what happened. The slow burn, tiny payoff that I've been complaining about from Mutation persists in all of these episodes past the first one, and I really feel like only the first one is able to make it work. But enough about that. Who's Sieg anyway? He's another coma victim attacked by Skaith and happened to be the boyfriend of Mai Minase, thus starting her investigation into the world. So it's just another tiny way the two stories intersect, which I'll admit is kind of cool. Back to the game, we find nothing in the forums or our emails, so we hop to the servers and find Mistral in the Delta server, and she has something to say.
I'm sorry. I'm a housewife, and I'm going to have a baby soon.
Well, this is pretty surprising and was actually foreshadowed by her needing to do something else while playing, and it does do the thing I really love .hack for. Having people behind the character be completely separate from how they look. I won't lie, with Mistral's character voice, I figured she was pretty young, maybe a teenager, but turns out she's not that at all. It just goes to show you how the way a character looks in the game can be completely different from how they actually are. Kind of like how my characters are Guild Wars too. Last I checked, I was not a small hyper-intelligent goblin with big ears, but you know, who knows? Well, with that, she says she can't help us anymore, but Kite is completely understanding, as am I. This isn't Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. We can't have a pregnant woman running around almost getting shot every mission. God, that was so fucking stupid. Yet, ironically, I don't feel like that's the worst part of that game. Kite heads back to the Lambda server and Black Rose shows up. Kite has doubts about what he's doing because we need him to go through that depression arc. Luckily, Black Rose is here to fix it, I think.
Will you cut it out? This is stupid and it's really pissing me off.
Well, we log out again and check the board. Looks like there's a strange room in the Sigma server, which we just got access to. So we'd head over there to find some answers. Except we have to go alone because no one wants to play with us. Okay, fine. That means this dungeon is going to be a slog. It's less tricky, intense, and more, oh boy, this is gonna take another 30 minutes for no reason. Walking into the dungeon, we get to hear the AI Herald, I think that's who this is supposed to be, start talking about how humans have limits, but AI have no limits at all. He continues this ramble as we go deeper into the dungeon, but what's really interesting here is these boxes. Oh my god, they have item boxes for virus cores. Thank you. Oh my god, finally. Yep, that's right. We can now get virus cores from containers. And this did not help me a single time because they only show up in story dungeons. Why did you even bother? But getting to the end, right before the dungeon boss, we hear the Herald AI say this.
Morgana Maud gone. She rejects my intervention.
Speaking of names, here's Balmung, trying really hard to beat a data bug on his own, which also has one of the strangest cuts I've ever seen.
I can't outrun it!
We save him and he finally stops giving a shit and acknowledges that he's been pretty awful towards us. And with that, we finally join forces. He then leads us into the strange room he found, and we hear another part of the epitaph, and Balmung's role in the story ends. No, I'm not kidding, he does almost nothing important past this point. His role is over. That is such a shame. Anyways, after that we log out, and Black Rose wants to meet us at the hidden, forbidden, holy ground again, and this leads to what I believe is the strongest emotional scene in the entire game. I'm just gonna let most of this run unedited, because I think it's that good.
Do you want to know something? My brother fell unconscious here.
Oh.
I didn't tell you because I couldn't find the right time. Sorry. When I first met you, I forced you to come here, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to see what had happened here with my own eyes, yet I was too frightened to come here by myself. And I still feel that way. I'm very, very scared. But I wouldn't have gotten this far without you. So, what am I going to do if you start doubting yourself? How am I supposed to cope? Does a big sister have to be happy? I want to.
Black Rose. Please don't cry.
What do you mean? I'm not crying. You can't even see me, so don't make any assumptions. There you go, how typical. You always clam up when you should be talking.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was wrong in thinking that I'm the only one who's trying to do something about Orca and the disaster. Everybody wants to do something. Now I know. I'm not the only one. We all want to bring this whole horrible mess to an end. What can we do about the situation now? It's simple. We've got to do what we think is right. That's the only way we'll move forward.
Yep. Let's do it together. Things will work out. My intuition is pretty good. Well, I'm off to go see my brother.
At the hospital?
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Thank you. To you, too.
That was a nice scene. Dude, just... Where were scenes like that in Mutation, goddammit? Just... Nothing was happening in Mutation. Holy shit. I'm not crying, you're crying. Basically what happened halfway through that, right? But after that, we log out and see that Wise Man wants to meet us at Sigma Town. Oh my god, we're finally meeting at the towns. Holy shit. He says that if everything is proceeding like we thought the epitaph was, then there's at least 5 more signs before whatever this wave was. And then we also have Kubia, though we still don't know what its deal is yet, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And now it's time for the side quest lightning round. First, we save a player named Terajima Ryoko. I have choice words for her later, but we'll get to that. We then help nuke through a dungeon leading to this amazing line.
Do you know why you were depressed?
Then we help Marlowe kill a specific enemy he wants dead. Why? He reconnects with some old friends. That's it. Lightning round over. Now we make some story progress. We head over to the net slum and Tartarga gives us a message from Helba to go to a specific keyword on the Sigma server. And also we need to fight a data bug for reasons, though we do experience why this area was not used for fights ever. I can't fucking see! Regardless, we kill it, get Feng Shui, and then leave. And now we need to do a solo dungeon again. Why? Because this game needs to shave as much time away from me as possible, and by God, it's gonna do it while trying to turn my brain into mush as well. The biggest problem in this dungeon is these weird bootleg xenomorph looking motherfuckers that deal a lot of damage and really hard to hit, and they can heal each other. Thank you, game. Yes, please, just fuck me up more. Now, it is possible to data drain them, but don't go overboard or else everything will go wrong. Suvile just got cast. What happened to me? Oh shit. There's no one here. I'm not in a party. I'm paralyzed. I'm probably fucked. Yep. No, it's fine. We just have to shave a little more off of my soul, resulting in the total time in this dungeon being close to 45 minutes. It's okay and doesn't make me wish to high-five a landmine. Not like the boss of this dungeon is any better. This thing's gonna fuck me up. And after kiting it for long enough, we finally data drain it, kill it, and learn why Helva made me go through another awful solo dungeon. She was testing us! Yeah, she really is. But regardless, she's gotten word from Wise Man about our plan to defeat all the other signs, and the wave to stop the virus, and now we've proven ourselves. She'll help. Fantastic. That's great. Logging out, we read the mail, see that Wise Man and Helba have already found a high amount of strange data in a certain area, so we log in, and a random guy gives us a virus core. We then meet up with everyone. Ah, that's right, I tricked you! We have to go grind more virus cores! And with that, we do another side quest lightning round! Kinda. We go through a dungeon with Gardenia while she sounds like she's going to die. Spoilers, she's not. She's just choosing very strange words.
Huh? Well, you said life and goodbye.
I see. I think there's been a huge misunderstanding. I'm saying that because I am busy, the amount of time I spend online is as short as a flower's life.
Gardia, why are you like this? Luckily for us, we did get enough virus cores to start the next story mission, so we can finally go do that. Arriving, Helva contacts us and says she'll run the jammer once we find the virus we're looking for, as we don't want Leos to do something stupid. I guess we have a jammer now, and we're doing that, but alright. It's another typical dungeon, though having Nuke in the party instead of Wise Man or Mistral does make it a bit harder. It's also where the dungeons are starting to get ungodly long. It takes a good 30 minutes to get to the end of this one, and it's only 4 floors deep. They get longer in the last game, but we finally arrive and get ready for the next phase. Vidchel, the Prophet. Alba starts her jamming program, meaning she can't see or hear us. Not that it mattered, she wasn't doing a whole lot anyways. And we begin the fight. So, what's Vidchel's gimmick? He debuffs a specific element on us and then attacks us with that element, which would be dangerous, except the antidote item can instantly remove that debuff, so yeah, this sure is a boss, alright. Wow, what a boss mechanic, guys. You're really pulling out the stops. Look, man, how about you come at me and you just stack burning on me forever until it just hits me for like 99 damage a turn. How about you come at me like that? Then we'll discuss. We'll discuss you being a difficult and interesting boss. Let me tell you something, this idea isn't bad, but the fact that we can just instantly remove the debuff basically turns this into a slugfest. And this lasts a good 8 minutes until we finally data drain him and start the next phase of the fight, which is exactly the same except now it doesn't even use the debuff skill. Wow, an amazing boss fight, guys, keep it up. Vidchel then gives us some prophetic stuff, which basically says that bad things are coming and those that are in comas are lost forever. Okay, buddy, let's get you into the recycling bin now. Turning to Sigma Town, we see that nothing has changed yet, so we log out and read a large amount of phone lines were down for about 20 minutes, the stock exchange was down for 38 minutes, and the railway system was shut down for 2 hours. Yeah, this virus is starting to fuck up everything, not just the world. That's really fucking bad. I guess Fichel wasn't fucking around when he said that earlier. So we log back in and Mia's back with Elk. Great. She says that she's been having trouble remembering things lately, which I'm sure isn't a sign of anything. Elk spots us. Fuck. The real response would have been to see them and then immediately gate out to either an area or another server. We walk over to Mia and,
So, who are you?
Huh?
That's not great. Well, she logs out. Alex says she's just exhausted. Keep telling yourself that, buddy. And we log out as well. We then get a 2-sentence email from Leos that says we need to meet in Sigma Town. Why doesn't this game just let me open my emails from the game? And we log back in and see that Balmung is giving Leos the business. I also reciprocated with my own business. Regardless, Leos... Okay, Google Docs, can you stop autocorrecting his name to Lips? It tells us an area where another virus is incubating, so we better get on that. He also tells both of us that we chose to take the orders of our own free will before sounding like that was a line he was told to say. Balmung and Kite lament about having to take orders from him again, but we want to fix the world too, so we'll do it. Leos then says he'll join us. Well, he'll meet us on the field because he's not actually a party member, and oops, don't have enough virus cores, it's grinding time again! And this time it only took 23 minutes. I sure love story progress getting gated behind bullshit. It's the best. We finally get to the area with Leos waiting for us, and he says this.
The infection of the field is level 3.
3 out of what? Thanks, man. We then meet him in the dungeon. He says he'll meet us at the bottom. Thanks, man. And we do the usual drill of running the entire dungeon. It takes a good 20 minutes, but we get to the bottom and find a data bug, so it's bustin' time. Afterwards, Leo says that the virus is replicating to the monsters way faster than he anticipated, which could result in the world becoming a virus itself. His possible solution to this is pretty extreme.
There may be nothing we can do but to destroy the servers in order to prevent the spread of the damage.
Yeah, it's not a great idea, but I can understand where he's coming from. Especially since we've read how badly the virus is affecting the outside world. It's not surprising we come up with this solution. Of course, Kite and Balmung don't approve. Then shortly after, we gate out and meet Pyros again. He's here to make the story stop until we do the thing he wants, which is go to a dungeon and recite the magic words. Kite receives sticky helm, smelly armor, rotting hands, dog hat, use disposable contacts. Great, cool. So, anyways, this is all going in the trash.
Give me those items!
Yeah, sure, here you go. Pyros is cursed. Pyros is asleep. Pyros is confused. Pyros is charmed. Pyros is poisoned. I like that wise man's just over there, just standing around, not doing anything to help. Pyros is paralyzed.
What an unpredictable world it is!
He never learns. He never learns. After that travesty, we log out and get an email from Aura to come to Sigma Town, where we will see Black Rose waiting for us as well. She says Balmung wants to meet her here, and she goes on a tangent that ends exactly how you'd think it would. I then gets a message from Aura saying to come to a certain keyword in the Lambda server. But before that, we log out and check the news. The situation is getting even worse as a fire alarm failed to go off, resulting in several people getting injured, as well as a blackout affecting 10,000 homes for 2 hours. Yeah, the Outbreak part of this title is really starting to ring true. Though before we wrap up, 2 more side quests. We help Sanjiro get a sword he wanted because he can't answer grade school level questions.
Complete the following sentence. A blank earned is a blank, say, north, money, west.
Thought this was about swords.
A blank in need is a blank indeed. East, lawyer.
Why is the last option lawyer?
So this is it. Give it to me.
Don't worry, I know.
We then help Moonstone get a cool new weapon. That's it.
Moon knife. Moon.
And then we finally head to the area Aura called us to. It's not that long, being only 3 floors since we're in the Lambda server, but getting to the end, we find Aura waiting for us. Leo shows up thinking Aura's damaged data, but before we can get any answers, Kubia shows up for a second round. And it's the same boss fight as last time. There's literally no difference between how it was fought the first time. It is beat for beat, word for word, letter for letter, the exact same boss fight. Man, it'd be a real fucking shame if this boss fight was reused later, maybe, I don't know, 4 times in a row. That'd be wild. Anyways, we beat Kubia, it runs away, and it's just Leos, and then Black Rose theorizes that maybe Kubia's trying to stop us from meeting Aura. I don't know what she's basing this off of since we've only fought it like 1 time in Infection, but okay. Heading back, Kite says that Kubia seemed to be getting stronger like we are, which is a very scary thought. Kite then says that with the Infection getting worse, we shouldn't really be scattered anymore and actually fight together. This includes Leos, which Black Rose doesn't like at all. Can't say I blame her. Balmung is much more receptive to the idea. Kite also mentions that Leos does want to save the world as well, even if his position won't let him help us easily. His phrasing is very funny though.
Yeah, well, he's got his corporate side that won't let him say yes easily, but...
Even back in 2003, we were dealing with the corpos. We never escaped. Wake the fuck up, Samurai. We got a game to save. Black Rose decides that she'll be the one to try and summon both Helda and Leos. That way we can unite both fronts and stop the virus together. Hey, it's almost like that hit poem, The Epitaph of Twilight. Logging out, Black Rose says that she'll meet us in the Lambda town and lets us check the board before logging in. Yeah, that'll probably do it. So, heading over to Net Slum, Leos is waiting for us and instantly chastises us for trying to contact Helda and says he already deleted the post. We attempt to make him see reason, but he won't listen because of the Twilight bracelet the Kite has. He's really still on this, holy shit, man. And after Leos makes a fool out of himself, Helda shows up. And guess what? She was able to see the post Leos had deleted. And after much arguing, Leos says he'll help us if we're able to get a virus core from a dungeon without using our bracelet. We agree, of course, knowing full well that we would go into a coma ourselves. But fuck it, Leos is too goddamn stupid to listen, so we're enacting extreme measures. We head over to the area and Leos instantly reminds us not to use Data Train. Thanks, bud. This dungeon is pretty dangerous, especially for Black Rose and her low magic defense. Regardless, we get through it, and well, look at that, a data bug. Guess we'll have to kill it the old-fashioned way. As we fight it, look at that, its health is going down pretty fast for a data bug. Well, there is a reason for that. It's because it was a fake part of Leos' test, because of course it was. Everyone needs to have tests of character in this game for some reason. But after that, he finally agrees to help us. As he does, Helpa shows up, informing us that CC Corp or multiple other organizations are going to blame them, so they plan on physically destroying the servers to save themselves. Good old Corpos, nothing beats them in terms of scum. Kite wisely points out that this won't stop the infection, but CC Corp is aware of this, they just don't care. That's awesome, thanks corporations. Well, with new info in hand and an alliance finally formed, we log out and get an email from Wiseman complimenting us, and then see on the board there's a very strange area. Ooh. We do actually have to check it out to progress the story though, because of course we do. Hi Steve, I'm back! Though before that, do some side quests again. We're just helping Rachel with her weird item delivery service, which is a big waste of time. And then, oh man, we get to Terajima's dungeon. This dungeon is nothing but data bug enemies. Even in the field, the enemies are data bugs. If you remember my explanation of how infection rate works, you know that not being able to kill normal enemies basically makes this a death march. Something I realized very quickly while playing through this dungeon. Oh, did I mention that these enemies are immune to magic attacks? Yeah, they are. And just after you day drain them, they become immune to physical attacks. Just holy fucking shit, why? Who hurt you, CyberConnect 2? It is absurd what this dungeon asks of you. I have no idea what the legitimate way to beat this dungeon is, but whatever it is, I did not figure it out. We left the moment I saw my infection rate enter into bright yellow. And by the way, we don't even get a single virus core at any of this, so if we needed them, which we will, it didn't matter. Speaking of, we attempted to enter the new area to progress the story, but oops, not enough virus cores! Time to go grind some more, yay! It took 30 minutes to get this core because I had to dump the infection from Terajima's shitty ass dungeon first. Well, whatever. We finally entered the protection area and oh boy, it's those enemies from when I had to prove myself to Helba before. And they're stronger now. It's at this point I can really tell that past me is losing his mind right now. Oh my god, every single room has an encounter. Why? Alright, fine. Whatever. We get through the dungeon and there's nothing. This post was a hoax. We have wasted our time. Why the fuck did they make me do this? I'm sorry. I've tried very hard to keep this inside, but oh my god. The slow pace of this story is so bad. Look, I'm not one that hates slow burns in stories. Shin Megami Tensei 4 has some of my favorite world building and story of all time. And it's an extremely slow burn at the start. But there's actually payoff to it. There's not just having to sift through a dungeon for no fucking reason, just because the devs thought it'd be funny to have you do a dungeon that's a hoax, even though we already did that in Mutation. Okay, I'm cool now. Just had to get that out of my system. We log out, see another post about a strange room and go there. This area is just as difficult as the last, but unlike the last dungeon, this one actually has something in it. It's another room with another piece of the epitaph. Okay, great. Thanks. We log out again and Wiseman says he has a plan to run a jamming signal to quarantine the server while we fight the virus, and we'll discuss the plan further at NetSlum. Damn, it's about fucking time something happened in this story again. Getting there, not only will Wiseman be doing that, but Leos will be searching for the cursed wave and sending data to Wiseman to analyze. As for us, we actually have to fight the thing, because if we didn't, there wouldn't be much of a point in playing this game now, would there? Of course, they don't have the area found just yet, but that's because we need to log out again. So we do that, and nothing. Okay? So we log back in, and Elk is waiting for us. He says he can't get in touch with me at all. Well, we haven't seen her either, sport, so good luck with that. And after he leaves, we go over to Sigma's server, and now we get the email we were waiting for. We read it, and it says they found where the data volume is increasing. We head back to NetSlum, which took me a minute to figure out because no one said we were meeting up again. This is where we officially commence Operation Breakwater, and to commemorate it, Kite says something that made me actually recoil.
May the grace of the Twilight Dragon be with us. Commence Operation Breakwater.
Could have done without that first sentence, Kite, but you know, whatever. Well, with that speech out of the way, we head into the area which isn't protected. I'll take it. It takes a good 30 minutes before we reach the bottom, but once we get there, Hellbug quarantines the area and we begin our fight against the next phase. Gore the Machinator. Are we fighting two guitar picks? What the hell is this? I then read the gimmick to the fight like it's a goddamn book. I had a distinct feeling the gimmick of this boss fight, because there's two of them. One's going to be immune to physical, the other's going to be immune to magic. We haven't seen anything yet, but that's my guess. Well, let's see. Physical tolerance, so I could... Yeah, one's magic tolerance, the other one's physical tolerance. I called it. I was right. Yeah, it's not really much of a gimmick since they're basically stapled to each other. Honestly, I was expecting Gore to be a pain in the ass since there's two of them, but they're really passive and always attack at the same time, so it's not that bad. Seriously, nothing will beat how hard Magus was, goddamn. Gore does also have one of the more, let's say, interesting, unique attack animations.
Yes, well, shall we do it then?
What is this? What? What? What the fuck was that? I have no idea what the animators were thinking during this entire game, but I can't say it isn't on brand with the cutscenes. Well, regardless, it's just a matter of time before I break down Gore's defense, and in doing so, we enter phase 2 of the fight. It's really not that bad, just keep chopping away at them until they finally go down.
No! I can't! How?
And with their defeat, everyone shows up to celebrate our victory. But it's short-lived as Hella detects a massive spike in data in the Theta server. We also see that Wiseman, despite being a main character, doesn't have a high-poly model. But Wiseman says that it's the beginning of the counterattack, but Kite has this to say.
We have just realized the true rule of the game Harold created.
And with that, Outbreak comes to a close. Well, almost. We still have a little bit of cleanup to do. First, the bonus dungeon. It's really not that remarkable. We go and kill the bonus boss. It doesn't protect break, so I don't get anything special from it. You know how it is. Then there's the keywords we got several hours ago about someone seeing Scathed Swan. Remember that? Finally enter that area and not explode. What's waiting for us there isn't a rematch fight, but something much different.
Bingo!
That's right, we got another cameo appearance from .hack Sign. This time it's Sora. It doesn't say much outside of a single word, but afterwards we get Sora's Blades, which in character to him is oops all physical attacks. Got good accuracy though. And now we can bring Outbreak to a close. Honestly, the story finally does things in this part, unlike in Mutation, so I don't hate it. Actually being able to read about what the virus is doing in the real world really helps raise the stakes of the game, and there's a lot more character growth as we go. The grinding though, oh, that's starting to get to me. The random missions we had to do for no reason, I sure hope that doesn't become a thing going forward. Quarantine starts with us grinding. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. We start up, check the news, and that's not good. In fact, it's gotten so bad that it's not just affecting Japan, but the entire world too. Even having the WNC declare it the second network crisis. We also hear there's a lot of data moving to the Omega server, so we hop on, after I read through 10 minutes worth of posts on the board, and we find Elk again. He's still asking about Mia, but we literally just logged in, so no Elk, I do not know where your furry waifu is, you'll have to find her on your own. After he leaves, we head over to the Omega server, and it's not doing so hot. In fact, it's doing so cold, Helba has to come in and bail us out to send us to Netslum, or rather, a mirror of the Omega server. Leos doesn't like that.
When did you? I can't let my guard down for even a minute.
After a bit of arguing, which promptly dies down, we come up with a plan to lure the wave into a dead end so we can delete it. Helba's also working on a vaccine program to possibly help in this plan. As for what to do in the meantime, Leo sends us to a very strangely named area. Well, whatever. We go to the gate and... yep, there it is. And now we have to go back to the last server and grind out a total of 4 more virus cores. 2 of both H and I types. So much for going to the cool new server, right guys? So, how long did this take? Sweet Jesus. Yeah, what a fun way to start the next act of your story, guys. Force me to grind items for 2 hours. Holy shit, why did they do this? I don't understand. This isn't even a major story area. This is basically filler. Nothing happens at the end of this.
Measurement. Mission completed. Good work.
Are you telling me the thing I grinded for 2 hours was effectively just a filler mission? You know, like that painting of the guy just ripping off his own face? That's how I feel right about now. Just... holy shit. Okay, let's just read the news. Looks like the virus got to the local hospitals as it shut down all the medical equipment, but luckily no one was hurt, which is good considering that's the hospital where Orca's at. After logging back in, Black Rose is concerned about what could happen to Kazu if we don't stop the virus. The Kite then says we need to be patient since we're all together. Oh, I'm certainly trying, Kite. But after that, we talk to one of the inhabitants of Netslum and they give us a keyword to progress. Oh, we're doing it like this now, are we? Okay, fine, let's just go to the area and... hey, you guys want to go play Slay the Spire a little bit? So the next day we go in and all we need is 2 J-cores. This time it only took 27 minutes. Wow, cool beans. And we already know what's in the dungeon since the guy mentioned a strange room. Though on the way there, we hear more of Harold's ramblings.
Evolution does not always mean progress.
Yeah, it means that the game will steadily get worse as you play it, you're right. Getting to the end, we only find another piece of the epitaph and that's it. Getting out, Elk is still asking about Mia. My brother in Christ, I cannot solve your problems. Well, Black Rose doesn't share my sentiment as she asks Elk to help us in stopping the wave, suggesting that we might find a way to Mia that way. I sure hope we don't regret that decision. Though before more progress is made, we do a quick side quest with Pyros, helping him confront an evil player. Turns out it was just a guy selling items and Pyros gave him too much. We then log out, check the news, it's not good. All telephone lines were out for over 2 hours around the whole world, as well as medical equipment failing too. An interesting turn of events, since phone lines are getting worse, couriers are making a killing, charging up to 20 times their rate. Anyway, it's time for us to meet up with everyone on the Omega server again, and okay, let's stop a moment. Something I really haven't drawn attention to is that there's two types of cutscenes in this game. There's the kind that have higher quality models, and the kind that have the normal gameplay models. The higher quality cutscenes have let's say a unique camera movement to them, but they're nice to see and help draw me in more. The normal cutscenes are just people standing around, their idle animations, sometimes rotating to each other, and it just looks bad. Normally I wouldn't mind too much because maybe it's for side content, or it's just lengthy exposition. I mean, look at the Yakuza series. Sorry, the Like a Dragon series. I'm still gonna call it the Yakuza series personally. Those games have both higher quality cutscenes and ones with simpler animation. But the biggest difference maker to me is that here, there are other animations, not just people standing there. A lot of these animations are reused, but they at least help trick your brain to think the people you're talking to are alive. This is something a lot of games do that you might not notice. But in .hack, I noticed the lack of all that. I noticed the lack of animations, and it drags me out of the experience. Now you might be sitting there at your desk or in bed and have already typed a comment saying, "But Bill, this is an old game on the PS2, they can't possibly do any better at the time." Oh yeah? You know what else came out around the same time as this game? Kingdom Hearts 1. And to that you might say, "But Bill, that's Square Enix, of course they have really good cutscenes." Alright, fine. You know what else came out during that time? Dark Cloud 2. While the story of Dark Cloud 2 might not be very good, I cannot say that the cutscenes have no effort in them, because they do. They have unique animations, characters are expressive, and it kept me engaged, even if the story was crap. Alright, back to the game. During this meeting we get informed that Leos is looking into areas that the wave frequents and guide it to a specific area using the vaccine. Alright, sounds good. Time to go into that area and nope, none of the virus cores. Back to grinding for us. Holy shit, why? The grind has gotten so bad at this point that I turned on Limbus Company and put it in the corner. Not for my audience's retention, but for my own fucking sanity. So if you see it in the corner, know that I'm losing. What I'm losing specifically, I'll leave that to your imagination. Now, how long did this grind take? About 37 minutes. Man, I sure love stopping the momentum of the story to do a mandatory grind. Not like I'm avoiding data drain enemies, they just don't drop virus cores most of the time. Yeah, like all of the man-sized enemies are the ones that we want to give us the core that we need. But, you know, if they just don't drop it, well, there's not a whole lot I can do to fix that now, is there? Okay, moving on for now, we enter the area and head to the bottom of the dungeon to await the wave. And there's nothing here. The wave somehow predicted where we were going and moved to another area. So we did another dungeon for nothing. Awesome. I want to comment on how it would be terrifying that the wave can anticipate our actions, but right now I'm bracing for the inevitable. Thank God. Let's not take this for granted and get down to the bottom of the dungeon. Getting there, we see Elk has found Mia and she's really not doing so well, and there's a good reason for that.
It's true. I only exist in the world. The only memory I have is when I am in the world. No! Stop it!
Mia!
I want to stay as me! Stay back! Don't look at me! I'm sorry.
Yeah, it turns out Mia isn't a real person. She's just another face of the wave that was lying dormant all this time. And that phase's name is Maka, the Temptress. So how's this fight gonna be? Oh, it's gonna be one of those fights. Well, it's actually simpler than it seems. We just have to stay really far away from Maka and cast spells, and that SP drain move she has doesn't usually hit. Black Rose just tanks and draws Maka's attention. It's fine. Lightning, 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 lightning! Or at least, it was going fine until Maka uses her unique move, Suspicious Seduction. Okay, that's actually the worst thing that could have fucking happened. Stop! I can't do anything about this. Yet, the entire party getting charmed is easily the scariest thing that could have happened. It leaves us up to the mythical RNG to see if we'll survive or not. And she will keep using this move, and every time, it's terrifying. This simple little status amulet has made Mako one of the more intimidating boss fights since Magus. Why this took so long to happen, I do not know. At this rate, Black Rose is gonna have no data left on her fucking computer. It's gonna be factory reset. Regardless, after Maka's several attempts at a TPK, we finally bring her down to second phase. And you can hear the relief in my voice when this happens. Oh! There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Oh my god. Fucking finally. Plant your flower ass somewhere else. Much like the previous waves, Maka loses her unique attacks and mostly just flails around with big damage, and the occasional confusion. But after a grueling 20-minute boss fight, we finally bring her down. Doing so actually releases Mia and Kite catches her. Out comes back just in time to see Mia die and does something we wish more RPGs would do. Have someone use healing spells on a character that's dying. Sadly, it doesn't work, but hey, I give him points for trying. Elk then proceeds to blame us for Mia's death, which I understand, but that doesn't mean I have to like it.
Oh, Elk. Thank you.
Leos also tells us to go back to the last area we went to, so after Elk damns us, we head over.
Hurry to Omega! Cruel, vindictive scars!
Well, I gotta restock my items. If I don't do that, we're gonna die. That's right, we have to retread an entire dungeon again. Hooray! Though at least on the way in, we talk about how Elk seemingly disappeared, took the vaccine program with him. Jesus Christ, man, really? Well, despite this being incredibly bad news, Kite decides we should still head to the bottom anyway. Alright, here we go. Woo! Getting to the bottom, Leos is able to contact us again, and apparently the virus ate the vaccine and wiped out all of Leos' employees. Oh, okay, that's pretty fucking bad, yeah? But before we can retreat, Aura appears once again, which stops the wave's progress somehow. But this also means Kubia isn't far behind, and despite Aura saying we can't fight Kubia, we have to fight Kubia. And wouldn't you know it, not only are we retreading this dungeon, but we're also retreading this boss fight for the third time. Awesome. Thank you, .hack. Very cool. Luckily, with the power of editing, you don't have to suffer through this. Only I had to. There's no changes in the fight, in case you were wondering. After that, we hear the wave has resumed movement, and we don't know where it's going. Time to meet up in Omega Town again. Getting there, Wiseman suggests we still have time to herd the wave into the other trap we have, but Leos points out all of his men are in the hospital, so we clearly don't have enough manpower. That's when Helba chimes in and calls our fucking boys to the party. That's right! The power of friendship will save the day! And where do we have to go? All the way back to the same dungeon for the third time. Are you fucking serious? Alright, here we go again. But this time we finally trap the wave here and begin the fight. This time it's against Tarvos, the Avenger. And it has the worst design so far. It's just a letter S, like what do you want from me? So what's Tarvos' gimmick? Well, it starts with physical tolerance, and after either a certain amount of damage or time, I couldn't tell you which, it does this animation, which means it's swapping its tolerance. It repeats this for the whole boss fight, which means it's just Kubia, but it looks different and doesn't have minions. Great. My live reaction really shows how enthusiastic I was about this. It teleported, and now it has magic tolerance. So you're telling me that we ran out of ideas and the only way we can make fights interesting is by making them immune to half of the attacks in the game. Okay, yeah, great. Fucking... Oh, look. I know designing boss fights is hard, but Jesus Christ. Okay, but does it have a unique attack? It does, but it's just an instant kill. I didn't even fucking react. He just fell over dead after the animation was done. Fine, okay, let's just beat this thing until we can get data drain. It only took a good 25 minutes to protect break, it's fine. Look how happy I am, I had a good time! Oh my god, finally! How long did this take? The Tabros' second phase is just like everyone else's. It loses its gimmick of being immune to damage types, so we just wail on it until it dies for good. And I'm glad I'm recording this, so that way I can fall asleep to that death cry every single day. After that, Black Rose says that there's only one phase of the wave left, but Kite points out that there's still Kubia. And that's the cutscene. No need to elaborate or discuss anything. Going back to Omega Town, a bunch of Netslum citizens seem to go to other areas, including Tartarga, who says it's good. Okay. Logging out, we have a lot of emails. Most importantly, we get one from Tartarga that tells us about an area Harold's AI told him about. We also see in the news that it's finally public news that people have fallen into comas after playing online games. Though it's not public as to why it's happening. But before we make any more story progress, it's side quest time again. First is Marlowe's, which actually results in him leading us to a big storage of power-up items and revives. Thanks, man, that's really helpful. Next we go to an area that is actually someone trying to contact Subaru from .hack Sign. She doesn't show up, but instead we find Krim, also from Sign. And then the game instantly teases me for making me think I could have Krim in my party.
But sorry, I'm on a business trip again starting tomorrow.
How fucking dare you tease me like this, video game? Come on! He does give us a spear, so there's that. We then go help Rachel on her next service scheme. It goes how you expect it to go for a game that doesn't have the ability to instant message people from anywhere, except when it does.
I want you to take the items I don't need to my friend on B3.
No!
I then look at the area Tartarga told me about, and it's here. We have arrived to the Dark Ages. For you see, I have withheld some information from you, dear viewer. On the board, there are 4 posts here. One from each of the Netslum residents that left. This is the game's worst grind yet. Every single one of these areas is protected, and they require a lot of virus cores. 3 per letter at a minimum. The best part is that all of them, at the end of the dungeon, not only have you fighting a data bug, there's not even a cutscene or anything for it. No story progression, no character reflection, just you, a pickaxe, and the orders to dig. And how long in total did this entire section take me? Oh, that's cool. And if we go to the estimate on the site how long to beat has, and using the main plus extras section, that's almost a 1/5 of the runtime. Wow, what a way to set up your finale, guys. Do you want me to get excited, or do I have to become catatonic as I mindlessly grind for these items that I need to progress, only to go to the dungeons that have a single boss with no payoff? This is the total opposite of how you place your story correctly. This is the story equivalent of the puzzle box in Silent Hill 2 with all the locks on it, except instead of being in a small area with each of the locks being unique in how you unlock it, this had me bashing my head into a wall until I got what I wanted. So after that travesty, we finally go into the area that Harold's AI mentioned. Oh boy, this entire dungeon is also full of data bugs. How fun. And after a quick trip to dump my infection rate, I head back in, and sweet Jesus, this dungeon is long. It's a full 10-floor dungeon, which is way longer than any other in the game. It took me a good 43 minutes before we finally got to the bottom, and I swear that was artificially lengthened by making every enemy in here a data bug. But finally, after that ordeal, we find this strange room with a giant stone slab. This is the Harold AI, looking very different from how it looked in .hack Sign. He basically says that he won't help us because of course not, and instead summons Aura. I asked why we shouldn't fight Kubia, and she says Kubia is the shadow of the Twilight bracelet we have. So when the bracelet was created, so was Kubia, straight up saying they are the same. Though before we have any time to question that theory, Kubia shows up, and guess what? No, really, I want you to guess. Do you think the Kubia core fight is going to be different this time? Yep, that's right, it's not. And not only that, but we have to do this fight 3 times in a row. Each time it gets an extra 1,000 health. Wow, amazing. Truly spectacular performance here, guys. Are you trying to bore me to death? After that, we get to hit Kubia directly, and of course, he's got 2 phases. This one has 4,000 HP, and the next one has 9,999 because, ooh, big number scary. I don't understand. What the hell happened in development for the final game of this quadrilogy to end up in such a state? Well, I think I have an idea. See, this game was made by CyberConnect 2. These days, they're more well known for making licensed anime games, especially the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm ones. But let's just scroll back this list of their games on Wikipedia, and there it is. Not only had they only made 2 games before .hack, Tail Concerto and Silent Bomber, both of which are not RPGs and can be beaten in an afternoon if you really want to. So yeah, now the weird pacing makes more sense. This was their first time trying to make something this massive. And don't forget, they also made Sign and Liminality around the same time, so clearly something was going to suffer during all this. I suppose I can understand that now. And speaking of understanding, once we defeat Kubia the second time, it just regenerates all of its health back. And in that moment, Kite realizes that if they destroy the bracelet, it should also destroy Kubia. And while Black Rose is hesitant, Kite is able to convince her to help.
If you can't do it... Oh, all right.
Kite's assumption was correct, and with that, Kubia is destroyed, along with the Twilight Bracelet. But now we have to face the final wave without the power of the bracelet, but we do have Aura, so let's hope she can help us beat it. Alba shows up and directs us to the Omega Town, so we shuffle over there. After giving the news that we don't have the bracelet anymore, Kite waxes about the meaning of the word Twilight. But it's through this that Kite comes to the conclusion that there's no way Hera would let the world end, so the plan is to just fight the wave head on. Okay, I guess we're just going with that, huh? Better hope we pull something out of our ass. Longmont even wants to try Kite's amazing lack of power on a normal data bug, but Helba stops him because this game has enough filler as it is. But with that, the wave shows up and we begin the final fight against Korbanik, the Rebirth. You guys like AoE damage? Korbanik will spit out seeds that explode after a few seconds, and you need to either get away from them or destroy them. Through the magic of spacing, we're able to keep our distance to prevent multiple people from being wiped out at once. That's it. Alright, fine. After a few minutes we get Korbanik to change form from a seed into a leaf. Alright then. Phase 2 is a lot more interactive because Korbanik actually has unique attacks. What a crazy concept, right? The main one is Cruel Exploitation, which drains HP from whoever it attacks, making this fight take even longer. Thanks, game. It's really much the same, just big damage numbers and not much else to talk about. But after long enough, Korbanik decides to say, taking damage is cringe, and turns that mechanic off. The party isn't exactly thrilled about that.
It's not working.
What is going on?
Can we do it?
We have to. We can't give up here.
At this point, all we have to do is survive. Can't do damage, and without the bracelet, there's not a whole lot we can do. So we wait, and after long enough, Aura shows up. But she's not alone. She, somehow, has the consciousness of the coma victims, including Orca, Kazu, Sieg, Sora, and all the CC Corp employees.
I'm Section Chief now!
And with their combined power, we're able to shatter Korbanik's supreme defense. Welcome to Korbanik's third phase, and, well, it's nothing we haven't dealt with before. It spawns some spheres, which occasionally are more enemies, and it has big damage AoEs. That's it. Crazy how 2 RPGs I played on here don't know how to make final bosses interesting, so they just give them big damage numbers. Regardless, after enough effort, we finally get Korbanik's health down to about half. This is where it tries to crash Helva's server, and it does succeed. but we're still here, so what the hell happened? This is where liminality comes into play. Yeah, I remember that from several hours ago. That group was able to see ours fighting Korbanek and saw the servers start to crash as CC Corp began deleting the servers, so they quickly transferred the fight into a new server right as Elvis crashed. There's also some stuff in there about how if the servers are deleted, then the ultimate AI won't be completed, and that's the only time liminality ever crosses over with the game. Resuming the fight, nothing's changed. It's just back to business as usual until finally, after 40 long minutes, we get to the end of this boss. Sort of. Korbanek decides it's McFucking had it and uses Drainheart to start data draining everyone. And everyone just accepts it and doesn't even try to dodge. Like, come on guys, this is easier to dodge than a normal data drain. You're not even locked in place right now. Wake up! The only person who actually considers moving is Elk, and that's to save Kite from getting clapped instead, which finally rouses Kite from his stunned state and he rushes Korbanek to deal what should be the final blow.
Aura?
But instead, Aura takes Korbanek's place, and in death, she's apparently reborn because that was an important theme of the story. She then stops Korbanek, which was actually the Morgana AI mentioned hours ago, which I also entirely forgot about because the game never mentioned her again after that first time. But now everyone returns to life. We talk about how death is an important step in life. Ike gazes in the distance saying it's just begun, and he was clearly lying because the game's over. So, how do I feel about .hack? I think it's a game that starts off really interesting and promising, but then breaks down the farther along it goes. For real, the start of Infection I find fantastic, but the pacing of all 4 of these games is awful. And the grinding, oh my god, the grinding. I feel like if the padding and grinding was completely stripped away, these games would be over in like 4 hours. There's a good reason I glossed over so much of the gameplay and turned this video into basically a story recap. But even after all that pain and suffering and wasted time, there's still something about .hack that will hold a special place in me. Because when it does things right, it does them amazingly well. But man, I cannot in good faith tell someone to play this without them losing their minds. Well, I'm sure it's fine. After all, it's not like the next RPG I'm going to play will be as hurtful to my brain as this. There's absolutely no way that will happen to me, right? Ah, shit.